Voters set to head to the polls in 3 states this Tuesday. None are getting more attention than Texas, where Democrats Jasmine Crockett and James Tallarico are locked in a tight race.
That race is also sparking media firestorm after a national TV appearance by Tallarico triggered questions about FCC equal time rules for broadcast networks.
Come out and say they're not bona fide news, then yes, they have to give everybody equal time. If they want to make the case that they are, the test under the FCC's rules is whether you are pursuing partisan political motivations. And when you look at the lineup of guests that have typically been on The View, I think it's an uphill climb for Disney to make the case that they're just a straight news program.
On the other side, Attorney General Ken Paxton and Congressman Wesley Hunt are running to unseat Texas Senator John Cornyn. The trio locked in a tight race, and President Trump has not yet publicly endorsed any of them.
Joining us now, radio host Stacy Washington. Stacy, nice to see you. This race has so many dimensions to it, okay? You could take the Democrat side, Republican side. Both are interesting. What catches your attention most?
Well, what catches my attention is that you have two challengers who are both younger, two of them who are really playing to the populism angle with their fealty to President Trump. But most importantly, the things that they're outlining that they feel Cornyn has not done. So they're highlighting their ability to come in as fresh faces and represent people in a more modern way, a populist way that speaks to the ire of voters right now. There are a lot of things that people are dissatisfied with. President Trump has made some amazing strides, but he needs a team that can actually operate on his behalf and work with him. And both of these challengers are saying they're the ones who can work with President Trump much better than Cornyn ever would.
What do you make of, I was listening to some Democrat commentators earlier, and I say that with some forced kindness, that Texas is a mess, that politically it's a mess, the fighting between Cornyn and Paxton, political fighting, and also just in terms of the rise up of some of these Democrat candidates in the state.
Well, so first of all, the Democrats are being very clever right now. They haven't actually had an autopsy where they've sat down and examined why they lost so enormously in 2024. They haven't examined why President Trump struck a chord with immigration or how their party abandoned the American worker during the Biden years with high inflation, low GDP, and an open border. They haven't really addressed themselves to the issue of crime. All Americans hate crime. You don't have to be a Democrat or a Republican or an independent to hate crime. So when Democrats refuse to address these issues, it leaves a gaping hole and it encourages their candidates to lie. So their candidates are running on this, we feel your pain. We want to fix things. We're saying President Trump is crazy because he's doing mass deportations and he's hurting families, but we want to help working people. These are all lies. And so I'm encouraging those of you you've looked at these seats that have flipped. The GOP is not present in a large way in these races. And the Democrats are lying to their constituents saying they're going to do good things. But look at Abigail Spanberger. She's in Virginia. She actually has 50 new taxes. She's going to put people who own more than 10 magazines. If your magazine carries more than 10, she's going to put you in jail for a year. These are not the things that we want as Americans. And the Democrats are lying about it. And that's what makes these races in Texas so interesting, because the people there have to figure out who they're going to believe, who's telling them the truth. I think it's pretty easy to see who is.
I just think it's so funny how badly national Democrats do not want Jasmine Crockett to be the nominee. Are they right? Is it impossible for her to win across all of Texas, or is this going to backfire on them?
Well, so she's taken a very strong stance against President Trump, and she's made some statements that make fantastic political ads, not just for Tallarico, her challenger, but for any Republican who would be running against her in a Senate seat. So they don't want her because she came out with a certain kind of Democrat. I'm a certain kind of a Democrat. I'm a flamethrower. I'm a member of the squad. I speak to young people. I'm world star hip hop with a degree in law. That doesn't work for mainstream voters across the state who would have to identify with her and see her as someone who would go into the U.S. Senate and work to enact policy that they want. They see her as someone who shows up on late night television, has an interesting choice in eyelashes, but not someone who's serious. And that's her fault. She made that image for herself. I think Tallarico is the better choice for them, but so far she's pulling ahead. She's ahead of him in the polls, but he's getting a divinity degree. So should we believe him? Dagan, should we believe him? My mom meter says no. I'm over here. I'm very skeptical.
No, well, I'm not going to take the Lord's name in vain.
You're pious.
If I say out loud, I believe that, lightning will surely pulverize me and turn me into a puddle of goo in this chair.
Thank you, Stacy. Great to see you.
Made you laugh.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Have a great weekend.